All right, everyone, welcome to this first class of the Certified Hadoop and Big Data Expert course by Edvancer. Today, we'll be taking you through an introduction to Big Data and Hadoop. What exactly is Big Data? What exactly is Hadoop? My name is Atush Shah, and I believe I am audible to all of you. In case I'm not audible, let me just type in for someone who is facing any kind of audio issue. So just give me a second on that. All right, so I'm speaking right now, and if any one of you is not able to hear me, please check your network connection or your audio settings. All right, I think almost all of you are able to hear me. So if anyone faces a problem even during the middle of the class, please check your network connections or audio settings. Thank you. So what's the agenda for the day today? Well, initially just give us a few minutes to introduce ourselves, introduce Edvancer, introduce myself. And then we'll take you through a brief overview of what the Certified Hadoop and Big Data Expert course is about, for which we are holding this first class today. We'll talk about what exactly is big data after that. I'm sure all of you have heard of big data, but many of you may still have a lot of confusion as to what exactly it is. We'll speak about what are the conventional approaches and problems to solving data management issues. And then we'll take you through an introduction to Hadoop, the Hadoop distributed file system, MapReduce. Some of these terms may be alien to you right now, but during the course of this presentation, I believe you will get a very good overview of what exactly it is. We'll then take you through some use cases as to how companies have used or rather implemented Hadoop to prosper and benefit. We'll take you through what exactly is the Hadoop ecosystem, speak about the career path and career options in Hadoop. And finally, at the end of this presentation today, I'll open the floor for questions. So please hold on to your questions till the very end. I would request your patience on that regard. A lot of your questions which you may have right now will get answered during the course of the presentation itself. So anything after that, I will be open to answering any and every question that you may have. All right, so just requesting your patience till then. So what is Advancer? Advancer is an IIM IIT alumni venture. What we are doing is creating a knowledge hub for analytics and big data where we want to meet the learning and training needs of all kinds of professionals, be it people who are new to this industry like yourself, or people who are already in this industry and want to upskill themselves with newer technologies and newer areas of analytics. If any of you have gone through the popular Analytics India magazine or Analytics Vidya blogs online, you would see that we are rated by them as one of India's top analytics and big data training institutes. Sometime back, CIO Review magazine has rated us as one of India's 50 most promising big data companies. What we do is we provide online training in analytics and big data so that you can learn anytime and anywhere. And how exactly that works, I'll just take you through shortly while describing the course. Over the last 17 odd months of our operations, we have trained over 13,000 people in analytics and big data. Sorry, 1,300 people in analytics and big data, and all of them stand testament to our capabilities in terms of training and education in this field. My name, as I told you earlier, is Atush Shah. I am the co-founder and CEO at Edvancer Edventures, and I have over 6 years of experience in the investment banking industry before I started Edvancer. I started my career with ICICI Bank, went on to work with global investment banks like Lehman and Nomura, and I'm a postgraduate in management from IIM Lucknow and also hold an engineering degree from Mumbai University. My co-founder on the analytics vertical is Mr. Lalit Sachan. He has over 3 years of experience in business analytics. He's extremely passionate about decision making through data. and he has worked on end-to-end analytics and big data projects. In terms of his educational background, he has completed his post-graduation in operations research from Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta, and he's a B.Tech from IIT Kanpur. So how are we going to help you? How is Edvancer going to help you? So at Edvancer, we are your launching pad into what is the hottest career in the market today, which is analytics and big data. And this is not just going to be the hottest career today or over the next year, but it's the hottest career option or career path over the next decade at least. Analytics and big data has seen a big uh, boom or a start in the boom over the last 3 to 4 years. And this boom is only going to grow bigger over this next 1 decade. Over here at Edvancer, you are going to train on all the latest analytics and big data tools and technologies so that you can confidently use them once you start your career in this field. What our training courses do is they help you gain all the practical skills that are required by industry, by employers. So these are not theoretical courses, these are highly practical hands-on courses that you will go through. And these are the skills which industry requires. You are going to learn from experts who have years of industry experience with them. So they know exactly what is required by employers today, and that is what they will be training you on. At the end of our courses, we offer you certificates, which when on successful course completion, you can get these certificates and you can showcase these certificates to your employers, put them on your CVs, etc. I notice a couple of questions. Kindly, as I said, hold on to your questions till the end of this presentation. I'll be happy to answer them at that time. So, what is the Certified Hadoop and Big Data Expert course? This is a fundamental course in Hadoop and big data development. And here in this course, you are going to learn the Hadoop ecosystem hands-on from the basics onwards. You will learn how to develop applications and jobs which will help you to manage, process, analyze structured and unstructured data. For those of you who are not really aware of these terms, well, structured data is something which can fit into a regular database management system. Unstructured data is something which cannot fit into a database management system, into an RDBMS. Unstructured data can be anything. It can be text, it can be videos, it can be audio, it can be any kind of data. So the Hadoop ecosystem will help you to develop these applications and jobs to manage, process, and analyze all this kind of data. You will work on a project at the end of the course and you will get certified by us once you successfully complete this project. The course is also going to prepare you for the Cloudera certified Hadoop developer exam. For those of you who have not heard of this, Cloudera is a company which provides distribution of Hadoop, and it has very, very popular certifications which are generally quite relevant and accepted in the industry. So the course is going to prepare you for their examinations. So just like you guys might have heard of Cisco certificates or Microsoft certificates or Oracle certificates, similarly, Cloudera provides these certificates for Hadoop. We are going to deliver Hadoop professionals who are well armed to deliver on the job on day one. What does this mean? This means that when you join your new employer or your existing employer in a Hadoop and big data kind of role, you will not need to be trained again by them. You are going to be absolutely ready to start delivering on the job on day one itself of joining. The course is that good, the course is that practical and hands-on. Here, the course has been designed by industry veterans who have 15 years of experience. So they know exactly what is required by industry, and that is what they have put into this course. The course details are, well, this is a live online training mode through which we do this course. So today you are sitting in this online class, and similarly for each and every one of the classes of the course, you will be doing it online, live, instructor-led, just like I'm teaching you today, and I'm interacting with you live. You are able to interact with me live today. Similarly, each and every class will be held. So this is 36 hours of live instructor-led training which is delivered by highly experienced Hadoop experts. You have all the advantages of classroom learning. So you can easily interact with the instructor, you can easily interact with your batchmates while you have the benefit of comfortably learning at home. You can interact through voice, chat, and occasional videos if necessary. It's a 6 weekends course. So basically, the batch or the course lasts for 6 weekends. That's 6 Saturdays, 6 Sundays. We are starting the next batch from the 13th of June, and the timings are going to be 9 to 12 in the morning, Saturday and Sunday. What you get from us, apart from this live training, is 24 by 7 lifetime access to all the course material, various books, and each and every class will be recorded. So whether you attend a class or you miss a class, within 24 hours, you will get access to the recording of the class so that you can go through it, refer to it anytime you want for your lifetime. So even after the course ends, you will have access to all the material and all the course videos. We give you a certificate of excellence in Hadoop and big data on successfully completing a final project. The fees for this course actually are 25,000 rupees, but till 3rd of June, we are offering a significant discount, which works out to 19,950 rupees as the fees till 3rd of June. If anyone is studying currently in a graduate or a postgraduate degree, he or she is a student, they will get a further 5,000 rupees discount or scholarship from our side. So in case you are interested in taking up this course and you are studying at the moment, feel free to get in touch with us for this further discount. You can enroll in the course online through this link here, right here. I'll just put it into the chat box so that all of you have this link with you. You can enroll directly through this link and create your own account and make the fee payment online itself. So just again taking you through this details. From 13th of June, we are starting the next batch. Timings are 9 to 12 in the morning, Saturday and Sunday. And fees till 3rd of June is 19,950 rupees. So what is the program outline like? Well, as I said, we start on 13th of June and it's a 6 weekend course. So we will end on 19th of July. We will take you, each class will be devoted to a certain module. So initially we'll take you through a much detailed introduction to what exactly is big data and why is Hadoop used. Then we'll talk about the Hadoop distributed file system, how to set up a Hadoop cluster, how to configure it. We'll introduce you to MapReduce. We'll do a MapReduce workshop after that. We'll again then take up advanced MapReduce concepts. We'll work on big data analysis using something called as Pig, which is a scripting language. We will use again something called as Hive for big data analysis. We'll do advanced Hive. Hive is again nothing but a kind of SQL-like framework, which will enable you to do a lot of big data management and big data analysis. We'll then take you through data loading tools like Scoop and Flume, introduce you to a NoSQL database called as HBase, Zookeeper and Oozie, which are more workflow management tools. And then we'll talk about Hadoop 2.0 and do any kind of doubt clearing you may have at the end of the course. So obviously you can ask your doubts during each of these classes, but an overall doubt clearing session for the entire course will also be held at the end. So each class is 3 hours long, and we will have a total of 36 hours of classes from 13th June till 19th of July. Who are the faculty for this course? Well, the faculty are industry professionals who have at least 3 years of experience in Hadoop. They are working in top companies, and overall, they have 8 to 10 years of experience in terms of software engineering or software development or programming, etc. They have significant experience in training hundreds of students online till date in Hadoop and big data, and they are absolutely happy to help you in terms of also solving all your doubts and queries whenever you like. So our faculty are some of the best in the industry today. They have a lot of industry experience, a lot of hands-on Hadoop experience, and they have a lot of experience in terms of training people also. So a kind of dual benefit is what you get from Edvancer's faculty. What are the important components of the course delivery? Well, there is the virtual classroom or the online classroom where you are sitting right now. Live classes are being conducted through this mode. It's highly interactive through voice chat, occasional videos. Today, I have asked you to ask your doubts and questions only at the end of the class simply because there are a lot of people in the class today. But during the actual batch, during the actual course, we'll have fewer people. So you can ask your questions and doubts anytime during the class, whenever you want, even after the class. And I'll tell you how to do that after the class too. So what the online classroom system does, it also enables you to learn from various experts from around the country. And each and every session is recorded for later viewing so that even if you miss a class, you never lose out. You can always go through the recording of the class and it will feel like you are actually sitting in the class being taught. Then we have a learning management system where you can access all the course material, assignments, projects, recorded sessions online 24 by 7 for your lifetime. You can interact with fellow batchmates, faculty through a discussion forum, and you can ask your questions between classes also to the faculty through this question and answer or discussion forum and get your queries solved over there. Then there is the Hadoop lab, which you can download and install on your own computer using instructions which we will provide you so that you can practice and use anytime, even once the course ends. You do not need access to any kind of virtual lab which has a limited period of utilization. This is something which you can put onto your own computer and use it whenever you want. So, what is the end result of doing this course? Well, the end result of doing this course is that you become proficient at managing, processing, analyzing large amounts of structured and unstructured data. You are going to gain the practical skills which employers need. You will work on real world projects in the course which you can highlight on your CV, and you get a certificate which proves your skills and which you can put on your CV also. So I just want to take you through a few profiles of our past students in order to enable you to understand who kind of does this course, what kind of people do this course. Because I am sure a lot of you will have questions as to whether you are suitable for Hadoop or whether you are suitable enough to do this course or not. So if you look at some of the student profile that we have team leads from IT industry, we have data engineers, we have testing people. A lot of testing guys come to us to do this course and enhance their skills. We have SQL developers, data warehousing people, software engineers, Java developers, enterprise architects, .NET. A lot of people who are working on .NET also do this course. We have business analysts, we have freshers, basically those who have no experience at all. At least 20% of our class is filled with freshers, and technical consultants. So this is just a small subsection of the kind of student base that we have in terms of their experience. In terms of their number of years of experience, we have everyone from freshers to 9 years, 10 years, 12 years of experience also. A lot of our students come between 2 to 7 years of experience kind of range. In terms of educational backgrounds, most of them are engineers. Some of them have a BCA or an MCA degree. Some of them are BSc in computer science or MSc in computer science. And they come from across India and across the world. So a lot of people from US, a lot of people from Europe, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand, etc. take up these courses through us. So what are the prerequisites of doing this course? Well, what you require is a bachelor's or master's degree, or currently you should be studying for it. What would be most helpful is if you have a knowledge of programming in any kind of language. If you have that knowledge of programming, you will be far more comfortable in this course and in the field of Hadoop. And what we do is we also provide you 8 hours of videos on core Java complementary, which you can go through in the first week of the course if you do not really know Java. So this way we ensure that you are comfortable in terms of getting up to speed with any kind of requirements which the course needs as far as programming in Java is concerned. So as long as you have a programming background, you'll be very, very comfortable doing this course. So let's get into the core of our class today. And obviously, big data has been creating a lot of buzz in the industry. It's on the front pages of most magazines, newspapers, etc., right from Harvard Business Review to Economist to Nature to Cosmos. Everyone is really talking about big data, big data, big data. But what exactly is big data? What is big data? Why is it so important? And why has Hadoop software framework come into the picture? So, if we see over the last few years, there's been a significant explosion in the data generated in the world, the data which has been made available to corporates and to industry and to individuals. If you look at a study by IBM, IBM says that every year 2.5 quintillion bytes of data is being created. That is a huge amount of data being created every year. And further, they go on to say that 90% of the data in the world was created only in the last 2 years. So imagine that all the amount of data that we have across the history of human civilization, 90% of it was only created in the last 2 years. Another study by Oracle, if you see, they said that the total amount of data available in the world was about 3.5 zettabytes in 2012. And they are expecting this to grow at a 40% rate every year. And they expect the total amount of data to reach 45 zettabytes by 2020. That is a humongous growth in data being generated across the world. And this data is extremely valuable in nature. It is data which, I mean, this data is not something which is meant to be just stored away or thrown away or destroyed. It is a gold mine. It is the new oil. When you analyze this data, or when corporates analyze this data, they are able to create significant benefits for their businesses. And hence, to analyze this growing amount of data, they will require more and more people who are well versed with the tools and techniques and skills required to do that. And that is where there will be a tremendous exponential growth in terms of the number of people required to work in this industry. The number of people required to work in analytics and big data is set to see a boom, and is actually already seeing a big boom, but is set to grow even further, even faster over the next decade or so. Yeah. Again, some of you are still asking questions. In case you joined late and didn't hear my instructions earlier, just to repeat them, please hold on to your questions till the end of the class. I'm sure a lot of your questions will get cleared during the presentation, and I'll be happy to answer each and every one of your questions at the end of the class today. Thank you. So, this tremendous explosion of data has resulted in what is known as big data. Now, what is the essence of big data? The essence of big data is not just in the term big. It's not just the volume. Obviously, it is something which starts off with a large amount of data. So you have terabytes, petabytes, exabytes of existing data to process. But apart from the volume of data, it is also the velocity of data which characterizes big data. It is data which is being generated in, or rather, the speed at which the data is being generated. So it is about streaming data. It is about real time data being generated. It is about the amount of time you have to respond to that data being generated and to take action on it. So in many cases, in real time data analysis, you may have milliseconds or seconds to respond. So that is also something which characterizes big data, the term big data. The other, and I would say a more important factor, is the variety of data. So if data is being generated in many different forms, structured data, unstructured data, text, multimedia, you have Facebook status updates, you have tweets, you have photos and videos being uploaded, comments, etc. All that is unstructured data. All that is data being generated across various platforms in various forms. And that is what most importantly characterizes big data. Big data is not just the huge volume of numbers, but it can be huge volume of text, it can be huge volume of any kind of data. And then finally, we have the fourth V, which is veracity. Veracity is where there is, or what refers to the uncertainty of data. Data in real life is frequently incomplete, it is ambiguous, there is a lot of latency, etc. And hence, data where there is a lot of such uncertainty and ambiguity also characterizes the term big data. So big data is formed by these four V's: volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. It is not just the volume. If you have large volume of numbers, fine, that is large amount of data, but it is not necessarily something which you can call as big data. I hope that is something which I'm sure many of you would have been wondering about what exactly is big data. I hope this has clarified to an extent what we refer to or what the world refers to when they say big data. So, what are the examples of big data generation? Let's take the example of a social network like Facebook. On Facebook, every day there are 4.5 billion likes which are being created. 350 million photos are being uploaded on a daily basis. Through Facebook Messenger, every day 10 billion messages are sent by people. If you go through Facebook's search on top, if you put in something to search, it will search through 1.1 trillion items or posts or whatever you may call them to come up with your result. 600 terabytes of data are being processed by Facebook on every day. 600 terabytes of data. And all this data are not numbers, it is any and every form of data. Today, if you look at Facebook, it stores 120 petabytes of data. How much is 1 petabyte of data? 1 petabyte is 1000 terabytes, which is equivalent to a million gigabytes. So 120 million gigabytes of data is what Facebook stores today. And every day it is processing further 600 terabytes of data. So Facebook obviously cannot do this using ordinary hardware, I would say ordinary frameworks or a normal relational database management system to store and analyze and process all this data. It has to use specialized things, specialized frameworks which are meant to work on big data, and that is something known as Hadoop. Now, we'll just come to that shortly. Here's another example of big data generation, which is the retail firm Walmart. Walmart has 200 million weekly customers across more than 10,000 stores in 27 countries. Every hour, there are 1.5 million customer transactions. Every hour, what this means is that every hour, 1.5 million people purchase something in the store and create an invoice or create a bill. So if each invoice, the data of that invoice or of that bill is, let's say, about 20 KB or 30 KB in size, imagine the amount of data that is being generated in just billing data by Walmart every hour. Today in Walmart's Hadoop cluster, 3 petabytes of data are being stored. This is obviously very, very small compared to Facebook, but still is extremely large versus what was happening maybe 5 years back or 10 years back. And this is just, when we look at customer transactions, that's just the billing data. Apart from that, the supply chain data, the product data, the employees data, humongous amount of data is being generated by such large corporates on a daily basis. And they need something which helps them to manage and process this data extremely quickly. And that is where they use Hadoop. Here's another example of big data generation. All of us may have taken a flight, but have we realized the amount of data that is actually being generated by that airplane itself? Every Boeing plane engine generates 20 terabytes of data for every hour of flying. One engine generates 20 terabytes of data every 1 hour of flying. So, can anyone say how much data will all the flights in this world generate every year if there are 100,000 two engine flights daily of 4 hours each? Anyone can come up with a figure from you guys here? Just come up with a calculation quickly. I'll just wait for your response. Every year, 100,000 two engine flights daily of 4 hours each. Nandini, you gave a pretty large number, 146 million something, but what is that? Is it bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes? What is it? Karthik Hari says 16 million terabytes. Mhm. I think Karthik, that's not a good enough number. Anyone else with an answer closer to what we are looking at? One engine generates 20 terabytes of data for every hour of flying. 100,000 two engine flights daily of 4 hours each. So, how much data is being generated every year by airplanes? Yeah. Puneet, you have come up with a number which says, okay, a lot of zeros in your number. Something closer to 584 or rather 5,840 million terabytes. Yeah, Puneet, I think you are probably closest to the number we are looking at. Sushil, 2.9 petabytes? No, Sushil, not the right answer. Anyways, let me give you guys the exact figure here, or the figure which is close to this number. 6,000 exabytes or 6 million petabytes. 6 million petabytes. This is just data being generated by the engines of an airplane every year for all the flights across the world. For an airline industry, this is just one part of the plane. There are millions of such parts in every plane. Imagine the amount of data being generated by an airplane every year, and the fact that these airlines need to actually analyze that data, process that data to figure out how the parts of the airplane are performing to ensure optimum utilization and to ensure there is no tragedy or mishap. So what's the problem? I mean, all this data is being generated for a pretty long time, almost. I mean, forever, almost all this data is being generated. But what is the problem here? So the problem is in terms of what are the conventional approaches to data management. When data was smaller, not so much amount of data was being generated, and when people probably didn't really realize the importance of data, the conventional approaches are which were being utilized and to a large extent are being utilized even today for storage purpose. You have your relational database management system, Oracle databases, DB2, MySQL, etc. You can store a lot of numbers and a lot of data over there, or else you have the operating system file system, right? So you can store your data using the Linux OS or the Windows OS or the Mac OS. You have a data warehousing system where all the data that is being collected through various operational systems in terms of marketing, sales, finance, SCM, ERP data is being integrated together, is being put into a data warehouse and then being consumed through various data marts. If you see this picture here, this is more of a conventional way of storing data. The processing conventional approaches are usually through SQL queries, especially if you are on a database management system, right? A lot of you may have worked on SQL. A custom framework if the operating system file system is being used, where you write some frameworks or codes in C, C++, Python, or Perl to actually do ETL or manage or process this kind of data. But this conventional approach has a lot of problems to it when we talk about such large amounts of data, when we talk about data being generated at a high speed, when we talk about data being in varied formats, or in one word, when we talk about big data. And what are these problems? The problems with conventional approaches are: one, on a data warehousing system, you have limited storage and processing capacity, right? You have one big machine which has a certain amount of storage capacity to it, a certain processor which can do that, do the processing of data at a certain speed or within a certain amount of time. But this conventional approach of data warehousing or databases are very difficult to scale when you have much more data than the storage capacity, or you need to process data much faster than what the processing capacity allows you to. Thirdly, with data warehousing systems, largely there is a single point of failure. If you want backups, then you have to spend more on these expensive data warehousing systems, and hence your expenses increase significantly. The processing that is done is sequential and it is slow. So anytime you want some amount of data to be processed or converted into another form or analyzed, each block of data will get processed sequentially. It will not get processed parallelly at the same time. And hence the time taken to run your queries, or the time taken to process that data, especially if it is large in amount or if it is varied in format, takes quite long. I mean, look at this humorous cartoon here, A Day in the Life of Databird, where query is taking 27 years. Obviously, an exaggeration, but in many practical aspects, even if a query takes a day to run or 2 days to run, it when you have large amounts of data, it's unacceptable these days. RDBMSs mean only structured data. You can only store structured data in a relational database management system in a row and column format. You cannot store unstructured data there. And unstructured data in the conventional approach needs to be stored on the file system, on the OS. If you want to store it on a RDBMS, you need to pre-process that unstructured data, you need to convert it into structured data, and then you need to store it. And to do that pre-processing takes a hell lot of time. So these problems with conventional approaches led to corporates, especially in the day and age of large amount of varied unstructured data, to try to find a solution to how to actually avoid these problems. And that solution is Hadoop. Hadoop is the solution. Just give me 1 second, guys, please. I'll just putting myself on mute. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm back. So the solution that we were talking about is Hadoop. So Hadoop is something which companies who are working with large amounts of data came up with. And these companies originally were Google and Yahoo. So Hadoop is actually an open source project from the Apache Software Foundation. What is exactly Hadoop? Hadoop is a software framework. So please note this, that Hadoop is not a language, it is not a database, it is not a data warehouse, it is actually a software framework which enables you to distribute and run your data management and processing applications on clusters of servers in parallel at the same time, right? So it is not a machine where you are going to put in your data and it will sequentially process your data. But this framework enables you to break down your data into multiple parts and process all that data, analyze all that data across the cluster of servers at the same time in parallel. So Hadoop has actually been inspired by Google's MapReduce programming model as well as the Google file system. What exactly this is, we'll just come to it in a short while. So what is Hadoop? Hadoop, as I said, is an open source framework. What Hadoop does is it efficiently stores and processes large volumes of structured, unstructured data on a cluster of commodity hardware. What is commodity hardware? Anyone with an idea of what is commodity hardware? Any one of you? Ajinkya says normal PC. Karthik says servers. Okay, Karthik Hari, what kind of servers? Karthik S says cheap hardware. Right, right. So normal PC is what Ajinkya is saying, and to an extent he's kind of right. Commodity hardware is any kind of hardware that you have available with you. Even your PC or your laptop is the kind of commodity hardware on which Hadoop can run, on which Hadoop can do a lot of storage and processing of data. It doesn't require specialized data warehousing systems. It doesn't require specialized mainframes, which are expensive. You can do this on extremely cheap hardware. You can install and run Hadoop on extremely cheap hardware, right? So yes, Sushil, you are right. Cheap general hardware, Mayank, normal PCs, Karthik, Linux box. Yes, Linux is what Hadoop runs on. So plain and simple, what it means is that rather than banging away at one huge block of data on a single data warehouse, Hadoop breaks up the data, big data, into multiple parts so that each part can be processed and analyzed at the same time. So you have, let's say, a tremendous amount of data. Rather than putting it into one big data warehouse and trying to process it in a sequential, slow manner, you can break it up into multiple parts, and each part can be processed and analyzed at the same time in parallel. Imagine the amount of time you can save. So Hadoop can be set up on a single machine also, but it can be scaled from one machine to thousands of nodes or such kind of machines on the fly. What does on the fly mean? Without any kind of downtime. You don't need, if you want to add one more node or one more machine to your Hadoop cluster, you don't need to have any kind of downtime on the existing ones. You can just, at a click of a button, add that new machine or a new node and get it set up and running on your Hadoop cluster. So Hadoop consists of two key parts. One is the Hadoop distributed file system, which is the storage layer of Hadoop, one may say. And the other is MapReduce. MapReduce is the computing algorithm of Hadoop. So what exactly is the Hadoop architecture like? So I'm sure those of you who see this picture will feel that it's an extremely familiar architecture of a Hadoop cluster. It is nothing but a slave, master slave kind of architecture, right? Where you have many machines here which can be called as slaves. These slaves are the ones who are going to be storing the data. These slaves are the one who are going to do the processing or analyzing of that data in parallel. Then you have a master which controls or knows where all the data is being stored, on which slave, on which node, on which machine, and it controls which slave machine or node will process what kind of data. So the master slave architecture is what the Hadoop ecosystem or the Hadoop framework is based on. And of course, there is a secondary master which helps to create a backup or a snapshot of what the master has in case the master goes down. And the user or the client machine can interact with the entire Hadoop cluster through this master. So this is a very, very simple or simplified form of the Hadoop architecture, Hadoop cluster architecture, which is a master and slave format. Now let's look at what exactly is the Hadoop distributed file system. The Hadoop distributed file system is a highly fault tolerant, reliable, distributed, and scalable file system for data storage. What does this mean? Let's take these attributes in a couple of pairs. Fault tolerant and reliable, distributed and scalable. So what HDFS does is it stores multiple copies of data on different nodes or machines. It will split up the data into blocks of a default size of 64 MB and store it across multiple machines. So let's say you have a block of data which is about let's say about 6.4 GB in size. How many such blocks will this 6.4 GB data be split up into? Anyone with an answer? How many blocks will it get split up into? 6.4 GB of data? Not 10, Puneet. Calculate again. 6.4 GB and the default size is 64 MB. Yes, Vandan, that's 100. Manas, that's not 1000. Yeah, 6.4 GB is 6400 MB approximately, and 64 MB. So 100 blocks is what it will get split up into. These 100 blocks of data will be stored multiple times on different nodes. So let's go back to the architecture and see how it works. So you have this 6.4 GB of data. The Hadoop framework will split it into 100 such blocks and store each such block of data thrice on 3 different nodes or 3 different machines. For now, let's assume that one node is one machine, though actually it is not so. So 100 blocks of data will get repeated thrice, and it will be stored in a total. You'll have 300 such blocks of data, correct? Because it gets replicated thrice. Why does it get replicated thrice? It gets replicated thrice because Hadoop provides a fault tolerant, reliable system. Please note that what you are using here is cheap general hardware, commodity hardware, which can be prone to crashes, breakdowns quite frequently. So if you had stored your data on just one such machine, your one block on just one such machine, if it went down, you would have lost that data. But because you are replicating it 2 more times, even if, let's say, this node where you had stored block A of the data goes down, this node and this node are still storing the block A, right? Your master is immediately able to figure out that this node is not responding. It used to store block A of data. That same block is being stored in this node, and hence it quickly brings up the data from these 2 nodes rather than this one till the time this hardware comes back up again online. So even if crashes happen, you don't lose your data. The Hadoop architecture provides a fault tolerant, reliable system. And as we saw, it provides a distributed and scalable file system. What does distributed mean? So distributed means that each your entire data is being broken up into different blocks and being stored across many such machines, and hence it provides a distributed architecture. And if you want to keep adding nodes and machines, as I said earlier, you can do it on the fly without any downtime. You keep adding them as the amount of data increases or as the processing power needed increases. So it is distributed and scalable also. So that way, HDFS as you see, is a fault-tolerant, reliable, distributed, and scalable file system for data storage. The Hadoop cluster typically has a single name node and number of data nodes to form the HDFS cluster. So what is the name node? The name node is nothing but the master machine. The data node are nothing but the slaves. These are just different naming formats for them. What exactly is MapReduce? MapReduce is an algorithm. It is not a language. It is an algorithm actually, which enables or is designed for processing and analyzing large volumes of data. Fine, it is designed for processing and analyzing large volumes of data. But what is special about it is that it is designed to do this in parallel by dividing the work into a set of independent tasks. So basically, you want to process the data in a certain way, you want to do some kind of analysis on that data. You will use the MapReduce algorithm to write your code to analyze that data. And this MapReduce algorithm will break down your code into, or the work that you want to do into a set of independent tasks. These tasks will run in parallel across those data nodes or those slaves, and it will do the parallel processing or analyzing of data and hence save a lot of time in terms of doing that analysis. So MapReduce enables distributed processing of large data over a cluster of servers. Another speciality of MapReduce is that it moves the computing code or algorithm to the data nodes rather than moving the data from the data nodes to the computing server, right? So what that does is it saves time and bandwidth. So you need not bring the data from the data storage to where you are doing the computation and where you are doing the analysis. You are actually sending the analysis to where the data is being stored. So imagine moving terabytes of data to do the processing on a normal system versus actually moving the computing to where the data is being stored. This will save a lot of bandwidth. This will save a lot of time in terms of processing, and hence the time savings and the money savings are tremendous for companies who replace their legacy systems with Hadoop. So what is the Hadoop ecosystem all about? The Hadoop ecosystem contains several tools to it. So Hadoop, as I told you earlier, is a framework. It is nothing but a framework which can contain several tools which work on top of HDFS and MapReduce. So at the bottom layer, of course, you have the Hadoop distributed file system. On top of that, you have something known as HBase, which is a NoSQL database, NoSQL database. Then you have MapReduce, which is the computing layer. And on top of that, you have various other tools, things like Scoop, Flume, Oozie, Pig, Hive, etc. These are various scripting languages or workflow management tools or data loading tools which work on top of these layers. What exactly are these Oozies and pigs and hives, etc.? Let's take a look at that. So Hive is actually a data warehousing infrastructure which is built on top of Hadoop. So Hadoop even provides you a data warehousing infrastructure in case you want that through Hive. What it does is provides the ability to summarize data, to query and analyze data through a SQL-like query language called as HiveQL. So it's a Hive query language and it is quite similar to SQL. You can do a lot of analysis and processing of data using the HiveQL. Pig. Pig Latin, or rather Pig, is a platform which provides a scripting language called as Pig Latin. It enables you to analyze large data sets through a high level language, through a high level scripting language. So you just code it in there through a very high level kind of language, which is easy to code in, and you can analyze your large data sets using Pig Latin. HBase, as I said earlier, is a NoSQL database. What it means is that it's a distributed column oriented data store. Your regular relational database management systems are row and column oriented. This is a column oriented data store built on top of HDFS. Oozy is something which simplifies the process of creating workflows, managing coordination amongst jobs. So you may not have just one job to run on the data, right? You may not want to do just one kind of analysis or process. You may want to do several kinds. Apart from you, a lot of your colleagues may want to do their kind of processing and analyzing on data. So what Oozy does is it helps create these workflows and manages the coordination amongst various jobs so that they don't clash with each other. Flume is a system for collecting, aggregating, and moving large amounts of data from many various kind of sources to a centralized data store. So let's say you want to extract a lot of Twitter data, a lot of tweets from Twitter. You want to extract those tweets and put them into your Hadoop distributed file system. How do you do that? You can use Flume to connect to Twitter's API and use that to extract all the tweets that you are looking at, probably with certain hashtags, and get those tweets, extract those tweets and store them on your HDFS system, on your Hadoop cluster. So Flume is something which helps you to do that. Now it's not just Twitter data, but any kind of different data sources. You can use Flume to actually do the ETL work. And Scoop is another tool which is specially used to transfer data between Hadoop and a relational database management system. So all these are various tools that you will learn during the course, and they are used for different purposes, but with one end goal in mind, that is to process and analyze big data in as quick a manner as possible. So let's take you through some Hadoop use cases. Basically, how corporates have used Hadoop to do well, to reduce their headache in terms of data management, data processing. So if we talk about a leading retail company in India, its problem was that it used to generate 100 GB of invoice data daily. I spoke about Walmart generating 1.5 million customer transactions every hour. Similarly, this retail company gets 100 GB of invoice data daily in XML format. It's not in a CSV or an Excel or in text or Word, it's in XML format. XML is something close to HTML. And it is not a structured format, it is not an unstructured format, it's a semi-structured format. So this invoice data needs to be transformed into a structured format, which involves a lot of validations, a lot of verifications, complex business rules implementation to enable it to get transformed into a structured format for it to be stored in their database management systems. So in their conventional approach of doing this, they had developed scripts in C and Perl to do this transformation, and the time taken to process the data was 10 hours. So at midnight, they used to get this 100 GB of invoice data, and till 10 a.m. the next day, they were just able to process it into a structured format where they could store it in their database management system. There was no way that before the stores opened the next day, they were able to process it, analyze it, and create strategies based to sell more and more products in their stores. So they were looking at a way where they could actually process this data very quickly so that they could do a lot of analysis on it before the stores opened the next day. So they adopted the big data approach. What they did was they started using the Hadoop cluster. They set up a Hadoop cluster and they put up 10 such nodes of slaves, and the time taken to eventually process all this invoice data on this 10 nodes of the Hadoop cluster came down to just 1 hour. In 1 hour, they were able to process all this data versus it taking 10 hours earlier. Now you may say, of course, they put in 10 machines, so they were able to do it faster. But what is more important is that these 10 nodes came at a far cheaper price than their existing mainframe and data warehousing legacy systems. So they were able to save not only cost on hardware, but they were also able to save a lot of cost in terms of the processing time. They were able to do a lot of analysis of the data before the stores opened the next day, and they were able to communicate the results of that analysis to their stores and create strategies based out of that. All right. Here's another use case, that of Orbits Worldwide. Orbits Worldwide is a travel agency, I mean, online travel portal. And what was happening on orbits.com was that it was generating 1.5 million flight searches daily, 1 million hotel searches daily. Now, this activity used to generate 500 GB of web logs. So, people coming on their site, browsing around, searching, etc., used to create all these log data of 500 GB. The conventional data warehousing, storage, and analysis infrastructure which they had was becoming very time consuming and expensive. What they had done conventionally to, let's say, sort the hotels in their database based on various criteria like rankings, etc., they had developed the scripts in Perl Bash to extract the data serially and to process it and to sort it. Now, the processing time to sort these hotels data based on just the last 3 months was 2 hours. It took them 2 hours just to figure out the sorting of that data every time new searches happened. So they decided they want to implement a big data approach. They shifted to Hadoop. They use HDFS, MapReduce, and the Hive data warehousing infrastructure. And they brought down the time to parallelly process this data for sorting to just 26 minutes from 2 hours. By bringing down this time, they were able to predict hotel and flight search trends much faster, more efficiently, and cheaper. So after this processing, they were able to quickly analyze the data and to make predictions so as to benefit their business. Here's another very popular, I would say, case study from Sears Holding. Sears Holding has over 4,000 stores with millions of products, 100 million customers, and it has collected over 2 petabytes of data so far. So as you saw, Walmart had 3 petabytes. Sears is another competitor which has another 2 petabytes. And its problem was it wanted to personalize its marketing campaigns, its loyalty campaigns, etc. And it was facing a huge problem with its legacy systems, which were incapable of analyzing large amounts of data. So in their conventional system or conventional approach, they were using mainframes, they were using Teradata, they were using SAS. And to process the processing time to analyze just 10% of the data they had was actually 6 weeks. They used to take 6 weeks to just analyze 10% of the data they had. They got fed up. They said, we are shifting to Hadoop. They put up 300 nodes of such commodity servers. They replaced their mainframes. By replacing mainframes, they were able to save millions of dollars. And the time taken to process all the data, 100% of the customer data, came down to just 1 week. So the time came down by six times. The amount of data they were able to process went up 10 times. So all in total, they got a 60 times benefit in terms of the data processing time, 60 times quicker. They were able to generate interactive reports in 3 days instead of 6 to 12 weeks that it used to take earlier. Imagine generating interactive reports of data which was generated 6 to 12 weeks back. Largely that report is now useless. There's no point in having that report because you can't take any kind of action on it. What happened was almost 3 months back. So now they were able to bring down that time to just 3 days and quickly take actions in terms of personalizing campaigns. As I said, they saved millions of dollars in mainframes and RDBMS costs, got 50, 60 times better performance, and they were able to increase revenues through better analysis of customer data. So this is where these companies have used the big data approach, the using Hadoop to actually prosper. Here's another Hadoop use case. A lot of you may have seen these ads, My Airtel, My Offer, where they provide personalized offers for you, or rather for a certain segment of customers. Now imagine the amount of data that Airtel is generating. It has 269 million customers. It handles 8 billion calls a day, 1.3 million retail partners for across 400,000 villages. Every year it is generating petabytes of data which need to be analyzed so that they can create such personalized offers, they can ensure customer retention, customer acquisition, optimum network performance, optimal pricing of their products, etc. And all this can be done only if ideally they use something like Hadoop, where they can use Hadoop, and they do. I mean, Airtel does, and most of the telecom companies do use Hadoop now to handle all this data, to process it, and to analyze it, because the amount of data has now just exceeded their legacy systems handling capacities. Some of the other Hadoop use cases where you can turn 12 terabytes of data created each day. So a company did this. They took 12 terabytes of tweets created and they analyzed it to understand what was the sentiment around their product when they had launched a new product. They basically extracted all those tweets from Twitter, they stored it in their HDFS cluster. They used the MapReduce algorithm and used Hive and Pig to actually conduct the sentiment analysis as to what was the sentiment around their product on Twitter. Was it positive, negative, neutral? What did people like? What did people not like? Etc. A power company in the US is using Hadoop to convert 350 billion annual meter readings to predict power consumption in the future. So they want to predict when is power consumption going to increase, when is it going to reduce, so that they can make optimum use of their power plant capacity. So they are using the data generated from these annual meter readings, almost 350 billion meter readings, to predict the power consumption. A telecom company is using Hadoop to turn billions of customer complaints, or rather use billions of customer complaints to analyze the root cause of why customers are leaving its service. They want to figure out who is likely to leave their service in the future, why are they leaving, and what they can do to address the issue. Hence, they are taking a lot of data being generated from their call centers, from their feedback forms, etc. They are taking all this text data, their complaints data, and analyzing it to figure out what is the problem. To analyze, I mean, Hadoop is also being used today to analyze customers searching or buying patterns and show them advertisements of attractive offers in real time. Quite often you may have found that you visited a site, and then when you start browsing other sites or portals, you start seeing ads of what you had seen on that site, right? Most of you would have noticed that. So how does it happen that during the time it takes a page to load on your computer, uh, the site on which you are the site which you are browsing is able to figure out in that 1 or 2 seconds that what you had browsed previously, and immediately show you that ad. It has to go through an entire bidding process where advertisers bid to show you ads, and the highest bid wins out. And that entire bidding process actually just takes milliseconds. And the only way to do that is to be able to process data very, very quickly. And that you can do through things like Hadoop and other kind of frameworks in terms of Hadoop. Credit card companies use Hadoop to identify potential frauds which may happen in real time. There are millions of credit card transactions taking place every day. Out of those millions of credit card transactions, they want to identify those handful potential fraud transactions which are happening to stop them in real time. So these are just some examples of how companies are using the big data approach. They are using Hadoop to actually enhance or I would say enhance what they can do with their business. So how does Hadoop solve the problem of conventional approach? So in the conventional approach, we saw there was limited storage and processing capacity. Now, because in Hadoop we use a cluster of commodity servers, there is no storage or processing limit. You can add these commodity servers at the click of a button, and you can do that on the cloud also. And because they come so cheap, there's really no worry in terms of cost. It is in conventional approach, it was difficult to scale up. Now it's infinitely scalable at the click of a button. There was single point of failure earlier where there was just one machine which was storing all your data. Now, because you can store multiple copies of data across multiple nodes, it has become almost fail proof, very reliable. Earlier, it was sequential and slow processing because there was only one processing or one machine, one processor or one machine which was doing all of it. Now you can use the processors across multiple machines to actually parallelly process the data. And hence, as you saw, companies can save humongous amount of time to process and analyze the data. The RDBMSs could store only structured data, but HDFS can store any kind of data, structured, unstructured, and MapReduce can process any kind of data. It required pre-processing of data earlier if you wanted to store unstructured data into a structured format. Now no such pre-processing of data is required. You can just take the data and dump it into your file system. So, I mean, think about how you use the file system on your computer, right? You can store any kind of data. You can store Word documents, PDFs, Excel sheets, videos, audio, any kind of files you can store. Similarly, on the Hadoop distributed file system, you can store any kind of files, any kind of data. So what is the future of Hadoop? It is expected that over the next 5 years, half of the world's data will be managed and analyzed using Hadoop. Hadoop is now augmenting or actually even replacing the legacy data systems across many companies. So many companies are replacing their mainframe systems, many companies are replacing their data warehousing infrastructure and using Hadoop, or at least adding Hadoop to their existing frameworks, existing infrastructure to do the data processing in a much quicker time. The International Data Corporation, I mean, if we look at data, it predicts that the big data market revenue will grow at 32% a year, reaching $24 billion by 2016, which is next year. So, new technology, I mean, all this is new technology which has come up over the last 3 to 4 years. It means that people like you need to upskill yourselves with newer skills, right? Hadoop is going to soon take over the world in terms of data management, data processing, and hence a lot of you will need to upskill yourself if you want to work in this fast growing upcoming industry and prosper from it. So where does this leave you? So let's talk about some careers in this field. If we look at data, right? Now this field is all about data, so even we want to see data. So if you look at job trends from a job portal called as Indeed.com, and they provide a job trend kind of engine where you can put in any kind of key term and you can see how many jobs are there, or rather what is the growth in the number of jobs in that area. So if you put in the term Hadoop, you will see this graph. You can do it even now and check Indeed.com job trends. If you put in Hadoop, this is the graph you can see. Look at the tremendous growth which is happening in terms of jobs in this field. It is skyrocketing. The number of jobs are just outstripping the supply of people. There are not enough people, there are just too many jobs openings to fill up, and companies are struggling to do it. Look at the percentage growth in terms of the number of jobs being created in Hadoop. Tremendous. So it leaves you guys in a very, very good place to take advantage of such trends right at the start of the boom in this field so as to prosper over the next decade in terms of your career. What are the various career options in Hadoop? So at the top, a senior person would be called as a Hadoop architect. A Hadoop architect is someone who designs, manages, governs, and administers big data projects using Hadoop. So he's the kind of boss who looks over everything and does the entire architecture of the system. Obviously, you need a good amount of experience to get into an architect kind of role. So anything about 5+ years of experience in any kind of software engineering, software development, architect kind of role can give you a Hadoop architect kind of opening. The most number of jobs lie on the Hadoop development part, Hadoop developer. He or she is the key person as far as this entire field of Hadoop and big data is concerned, where he or she is the one developing the applications and jobs to actually process and analyze the big data. So you are the guys who are actually doing the hands-on work. And you can be a Hadoop developer right fresh out of college, or if you have about 5-7 years of experience in any kind of field, you can gain a lateral entry into a Hadoop development kind of role. Then there are Hadoop administrators who manage the Hadoop cluster, who manage the database systems, who design the data pipelines. So if you are into a data warehousing administrator or a database administrator kind of role, then you can look towards going into a Hadoop administrator kind of role. And that is where, again, from fresher to 5-7 years of experience, you can easily become one Hadoop administrator or Hadoop developer. Then there are Hadoop analysts or data scientists. What do these guys do? They analyze large amounts of data and bring out the insights from that data. So they work with the Hadoop developers, or in many cases, Hadoop developers also do this kind of analysis work. So they are the ones who will use statistical analysis of data, who will do statistical analysis, who will do things like predictive analytics, predictive modeling, using the Hadoop ecosystem, most typically things like Hive or Pig. And experience levels, usually to be called a data scientist, you might want to have 4 or 5 years of experience. At the junior level, from a fresher to 4 or 5 years of experience, you can be more of an analyst. What are the salaries in Hadoop? Well, depending on various years of experience or experience bands, let's say you are a fresher or have just 1 to 2 years of experience, you can earn anything upwards of 5 lakh rupees, between 5 to 7 lakh rupees in annual salary. If you have 3 to 6 years of experience, and this is Indian salary which I'm talking about, if you have 3 to 6 years of experience in any kind of relevant field, you can get anything between 9 to 11 lakhs as your salary. Anything in the region of 7 to 10 years of experience, at least 15 lakhs is quite possible and very easy to get. 10+ years of experience, you can target anything about 20 lakhs as annual packages. So as you see, Hadoop pays much more than what a regular IT industry job pays. And that is why a lot of you should be looking to move into this new fast growing field where there's a lot of demand for people, salaries are extremely high, growth is very good, and the job roles are excellent. Which are the companies hiring in Hadoop, you may ask? Well, obviously, all the IT companies are hiring in Hadoop. First of all, this list which you see here is not an exhaustive list. There are many other companies which hire Hadoop professionals. We have just put in some names here which we could think of. So all kinds of IT companies will hire Hadoop professionals. All kind of outsourcing companies, especially the analytics outsourcing companies, will hire Hadoop professionals. Retail is a big area for data management and processing, and that is where Hadoop guys do a lot of work. Consulting companies also, you will find hire people who know Hadoop, because a lot of their consulting work now also relates towards using and managing and processing data. Then there is the telecom industry, which obviously generates petabytes of data. The financial services industry is a huge area where humongous amount of data is getting generated, and they need the Hadoop framework to help them manage and process all this data. Healthcare is a very upcoming area as far as data generation and data processing is concerned, and they will also hire a lot of Hadoop professionals. And finally, there is the e-commerce and social media industry, which one can call as the birthplace of Hadoop, or the ones where Hadoop is continuously getting improved and innovated upon. So over here, all these guys, e-commerce and social media companies will any day hire Hadoop professionals they want. So learn Hadoop, it's the future. It's far Hadoop architect's job in the world is far easier to do than data warehousing architects or a developer's role. There are too many problems with relation to data warehousing, especially for big data, which Hadoop helps solve to a large extent. So I have come to the end of my presentation today. I'm going to throw open the floor for questions now. And as you can see on the slide in front of you, I just wanted to show you some testimonials regarding our course from people who have already done this course. You can even look them up on LinkedIn if you want. And all of them have been pretty much satisfied. I mean, these are just 4 testimonials which we could fit on this slide, but all our students are extremely satisfied with the kind of training we provide. We aim to provide you the best possible training in this field, and look forward to your starting a great new career in Hadoop and big data. All right, so I'll just take a sip of water while I wait for you guys to put in a few questions. Okay. Yeah, so sorry. I look forward to your questions now. So I see Puneet has put up a question. Are you suggesting that Hadoop will replace mainframes and data warehousing in future? That is the first part of his question. So Puneet, what I'm suggesting is that if not completely replace, at least most corporates will augment these existing mainframes and data warehousing infrastructure which they have using Hadoop. In many cases, like you saw with the Sears case study, they just completely replace their mainframes. In fact, they are so happy with Hadoop that they have actually started a separate consulting arm to advise companies on implementation of Hadoop. So in many cases, these companies will definitely replace, and if not replace, will definitely add Hadoop as another part of their infrastructure. Your second part of the question is for current BI project managers, 12 plus years of experience, how can they upgrade their skills without getting too hands on? Well, Puneet, this is something, a field which is very, very hands on. And it actually pays to get very hands on also in this field, because then you can do a lot of work without really waiting for someone else to do it for you. So if you are a BI project manager, you are currently working with a lot of probably data warehousing systems, databases, doing a lot of ETL, creating reports and dashboards. You can do all of that on much larger amounts of data, on much varied formats of data using the Hadoop framework, right? So if let's say your company wants to also analyze a lot of social media data, or it wants to analyze what's going on in terms of text data, you cannot really store that very well on your database management systems, do a lot of ETL on it, etc. So that is where Hadoop comes in, and you can add that as a very good skill set on top of your existing BI project skill sets. Virendra, your question is next. Do you have 5 years of experience in .NET and SQL? If you do the Hadoop certification, can you try for a Hadoop architect kind of role? Or will they consider you as a fresher as you don't have any experience in Hadoop? Okay, so let me make one thing clear to you guys. Hadoop actually started off in India, or actually people started working on Hadoop in India sometime in 2011 or 2012. So the most experienced person in Hadoop in India probably does not have more than 4 years of experience right now. So all of the people who have learned Hadoop in the past 3 to 4 years, most of them have moved laterally. They have not started off as a fresher again. And similar is the case even now. If you have 5 years of experience in .NET development in SQL, you need not start off as a fresher again, because one, there is a lot of demand for Hadoop professionals. Two, companies cannot really get people with 5 years of experience in Hadoop because there is no person like that, right? So they are happy to consider you as an experienced person as long as you have the skills in Hadoop. That's all. So you may not really be able to reach the role of a Hadoop architect immediately, but you can do a Hadoop development kind of role for a couple of years and then become an architect. Sonali is asking, is there any course of Hadoop testing? Not really, Sonali. There's no course on Hadoop testing at the moment. This is more of a Hadoop developer kind of role, and a lot of people with testing backgrounds have done this course and benefited. I mean, this course will give you a very, very good overview. I won't say overview, a very, very good hands-on experience on Hadoop. And then you can use your testing skills on top of that to work in Hadoop testing roles if you want. Or you can even make a shift towards Hadoop development. Abhimanyu is asking, where do you work and how long have you been working on Hadoop? So Abhimanyu, if you're talking about myself, I'm not a Hadoop expert here. I don't know if you have seen some of the earlier slides, but I am the co-founder at Edvancer. And the people who will actually be teaching you as far as this course is concerned are people who are Hadoop professionals. They are working in some of the best companies, and they have been working on Hadoop for the past 3 odd years at least. Sushil, are the jobs into Hadoop kind of DBA role or development role, or is it totally something else? So Sushil, as you would have seen on this slide, which is coming up on front of you right now, these are the various jobs in Hadoop. I don't know how you missed that because we just spoke about that 10 minutes ago. You can be a Hadoop administrator also, you can be a Hadoop developer also, or you can be more of an analyst or a complete overall architect. Abhimanyu is asking, is Java necessary for Hadoop? And the answer is, it is not completely necessary. If you know Java, it's brilliant. If you don't know Java, you can write your codes in Hadoop in most kind of languages. You can write them in things like Python, you can write it in C++, .NET, etc. Hadoop provides something known as Hadoop streaming, through which these different codes written in different languages can be understood by MapReduce and get converted into a Java-based kind of format. So if you don't know Hadoop, I mean, if you don't know Java, that's fine. You can even do a lot of work using the Hive and Pig scripting languages that we spoke about earlier. And that is what also something you will learn in this course right from the basics. So if you don't know Java, that's absolutely fine. We also provide you 8 hours of videos on core Java to learn before the course. So you can get yourself prepared on core Java also. Nandini, you are asking, you have a website and you have around 1,000+ grocery stores attached to it, and each grocery store receives 50 orders a day. How do you think you can use Hadoop for your website? You wish to get analysis for all the orders that the grocery store keepers get and prepare a report on it. Can you do that with Hadoop? Absolutely, Nandini. So through your website, you will be having a lot of weblogs being created. So I spoke about the case study by Orbits Worldwide, where they were getting humongous data on weblogs. So they used Hadoop to actually analyze those weblogs and figure out what people were searching for. You can use this weblog data to actually figure out what people are browsing, where are they going on your website, from which page are they moving to another page, which grocery store are they purchasing more from, what kind of products they are purchasing more. You can create all those kinds of reports. You can analyze all that data using Hadoop. In fact, I would say that what you can do with Hadoop in terms of the data that you are collecting on your website, I would say the sky is the limit. You can do almost any kind of analysis processing you want using Hadoop. Sushil, your question is what is the cost of implementing Hadoop apart from the infra and hardware cost? So, Sushil, Hadoop is a free and open source framework. There is no cost to, as far as let's say the software component is concerned. It is mainly the infrastructure and hardware cost, and that too is also much lower than the legacy mainframe and data warehousing systems because you are using commodity hardware. So today, if you have, let's say, 5 or 6 PCs or laptops with you, you can actually connect them on a network, make one a master and the rest 4 or 5 as slaves, and you can install Hadoop on those machines and get started in terms of processing and analyzing data across those 4 or 5 machines parallelly. That's all. That's all it takes. There's hardly any cost involved. Ramesh, your Java expertise a prerequisite to learn Hadoop and big data learning? So Ramesh, I already answered that question earlier. I hope you got your answer. If not, let me answer that again. No, it is not an absolute prerequisite. If you know it, that's great. If you don't know it, we will help you learn Java. Even if you don't want to learn Java, you can always use things like Hive, Pig, and any other language you know to work on Hadoop. Karthik, again, you're asking what is the average salary for Hadoop resources in India? So the slide in front of you, Karthik, will answer your question. Kirtesh, you want good articles on internet related with big data and Hadoop. So Kirtesh, it won't be possible for me to share it now. Just kindly probably do a Google search or maybe get in touch with us later and we'll be happy to help you out. I just want to put up our contact details in front of you. Please note them down. These are the contact details where you can get in touch with us, and you can send us an email, you can give us a call, and you can ask us any kind of questions that you may have, doubts you may have. Okay. Kutubuddin is asking Hadoop will follow regulation and guidelines to handle clinical data. Okay. So Kutubuddin, definitely, I mean, if you are talking about regulations and guidelines from, let's say, FDA, etc., I think that is still to an extent work in progress, and that is where healthcare companies are also slowly now implementing Hadoop, working with these regulatory agencies to get them to accept Hadoop as a framework to store and process data. So I'm sure pretty soon it will get done. Pretty soon. In fact, a lot of healthcare companies have started using Hadoop now. Manas is asking again the same question, how much significance of learning Java core? You have a non-Java background, so to learn Hadoop efficiently is Java required? I think Manas already answered that question twice, so I hope you might have got your answer by now. Not absolutely essential, and definitely if you want to learn, we are here to help you out through our videos. Ajinkya, which profile is best for an Oracle DBA? I would say the Hadoop administrator would be best for you, Ajinkya. You can learn Hadoop to become a Hadoop administrator. Jignesh, big data word buzz. What is the difference between Hadoop and IBM Netezza? So again, Jignesh, I'm not really the expert here to answer what exactly is IBM Netezza, but from what I understand, it is another kind of data warehousing system. Uh, it cannot do what Hadoop is able to do. That is store and process and analyze data parallelly across a cluster of servers, and the ability to move the computation from the computation server to the data servers rather than what usually happens in the legacy systems where you are moving gigabytes, terabytes of data from the data systems to the computation system. So the legacy systems take humongous amount of time. Hadoop enables you to save that time and money. Puneet, yes, we have a business analytics course along with this Hadoop course. So that course is called the Certified Business Analytics Professional. You can take a look at it, take a look at those details on the, uh, let me put in the website link for you here. This is the website link to see the course details as far as the business analytics course is concerned. You might find it at the bottom of the questions right now. Abhimanyu, what are the languages in which we can write MapReduce codes? So, of course, the most popular, or rather the most often used languages are Java. You can write it in .NET, C++. You can write it in Python, Perl. Uh, you can write these MapReduce codes in the Hive and Pig scripting languages also, which are on top, which work on top of the Hadoop ecosystem. And you can write MapReduce codes in analytics using analytics tools like SAS and R. Yes, SAS and R can also get connected to the Hadoop framework, and you can write your R codes or your SAS codes, which will get interpreted by Hadoop or by the MapReduce system and get converted into MapReduce codes. So there is no necessity to know any particular language. Yes, as long as you know one, that is good enough for you. Nandini, Hadoop, as I mentioned earlier, is a free and open source system. There are no charges for it. Just get in place some machines, some good machines, and you can start installing Hadoop on that and start using it. So let me just take you through a testimonial by one of our students. What he says is that post this course, I successfully implemented a 4-node Hadoop cluster for my company and implemented several analytics reports for the decision support system team. So that's what he did. Post this course, he understood how to implement the Hadoop cluster, how to write those MapReduce codes, and how to analyze his data to create the reports. That's all that was required. Uh, Kanu Patra is asking, is Perl and PHP used in Hadoop? Kanu, I would say Perl is can be used in Hadoop. I'm not too sure about PHP. Sushil, is the database layer under Hadoop replaceable, as you have heard some other databases suggesting they support connector plugins to Hadoop? Yes, Sushil. So you can use various NoSQL databases like MongoDB, Cassandra to actually store the data in a column oriented format, so you need not use HBase. HBase is actually the free and open source NoSQL database provided by the Apache Software Foundation. MongoDB and Cassandra are actually provided by these particular companies. So that may not necessarily be open source. Virendra, you are asking, in SQL Server you have blob data type which processes large and unstructured data. So can we compare that with big data and Hadoop? Uh, Virendra, I'm not really aware of this blob data type, but what I can tell you is it is not only just the ability to process large and unstructured data. It is the ability to process it in a parallelly processing environment across different clusters of machines, right? So you are able to do it simultaneously, the processing across different machines at the same time, not sequentially. That is the power of Hadoop. Okay, so I'm not sure the SQL Server will be able to do that. And you are asking, is there any offline training available for weekend batch? No, Virendra, we do only online trainings. And as you can see today, we are so easily able to interact and ask. You are able to ask your question, and I am able to answer it quite easily. So I don't see why you need an offline format. Karthik, how different this will be from Google Analytics? Karthik Hari, I'm not sure if you have really understood what we have been talking about here, because Google Analytics is analyzing data regarding visits to your website. Where does Hadoop come in the picture over there? Hadoop is this software framework which enables you to analyze data in a parallel processing environment. Google Analytics provides data. You can use that data to get analysis using Hadoop. There is no relation with Google Analytics here. Sonali, you are an ETL tester. How would it help you to change your job profile? Will they consider your previous experience? Yeah, I would say, Sonali, yes, they would consider your previous experience in the ability to understand ETL. So that part they will definitely consider. There are not too many Hadoop testing roles at the moment, but definitely there are a huge number of Hadoop development roles, and over a period of time, as development increases, the need for testers will also increase. So you are positioned pretty well to get into the start of this boom. So I would say that even if they don't consider all your previous experience, given that salaries are much higher in Hadoop and big data, I don't think you have any worries on the salary front. You may need to compromise a bit on the role, or rather the number of years of experience, but you need not compromise in terms of the salary that you will get. Kutubuddin, limitations in Hadoop or big data when compared to conventional data structure, if anything, is there a way to overcome workaround? Uh, okay, so one of the big limitations is that Hadoop does mainly just batch processing. So Hadoop, if you have to do a lot of batch processing of data, Hadoop is extremely useful. If you want to do extremely real-time processing of data, then you need to use things apart from Hadoop like Spark, Apache Spark or Apache Scala, which helps you, or Apache Storm, which helps you do much more quicker real-time data processing. With regards to some of the other limitations, I think we will see more of it during the initial introductory, or rather the first class of the course. So at that time, you can really have a discussion with the instructor on these limitations. Obviously, no system is perfect, and Hadoop is getting innovated on further and further. So you have now Hadoop 2.0, where you have much better MapReduce algorithms in place. So definitely some of those limitations have been taken care of in Hadoop 2.0. Nandini, so is Edvancer going to teach us how to create analysis software? No, we are not going to teach you how to create analysis software. We are going to teach you how to use Hadoop to analyze data. If we are talking about how to create analysis software like SAS and R, I'm not sure that is the question you are asking. If you are probably asking how to actually analyze the data, yes, we will teach you how to use the various parts of the Hadoop ecosystem to analyze the data. Then it is up to you as to what kind of analysis you want to do on your own weblog data. In fact, the project that you will work on in the course is on weblog data only. So you will do pretty well in terms of understanding how to work on your own website's data. Nidish, is Linux mandatory to run Hadoop? Any other OS can support? So Nidish, Hadoop generally runs very well on Linux. It's not extremely well tested on Windows. There is a Hadoop distribution called as HD Insight, which runs on Windows, but almost everyone prefers to let it run on Linux. Now, you may have a question, but I don't have a Linux machine, so how am I going to run Hadoop? So uh, for this course, what you will download and install is a Hadoop virtual machine. What that virtual machine does is it creates a Linux operating system within your existing Windows machine or your MacBook, and enables Hadoop to run on top of that Linux virtual machine. So you need not have any other kind of OS. You just download this virtual machine that we will send you a link to, and you can get started in no time. Virendra, so can we say that Hadoop replaces or in future will replace Oracle SQL Server like DBS? I would say that in future it is quite possible that it will replace, but in the immediate future, at least it will augment or be added to these database management systems. You can actually connect your database management systems to your Hadoop cluster also to do analysis of large data, let's say process data into a structured format and then store it into your relational database management system to be used quickly whenever you want, right? So basically, it need not replace a database management system. It can very easily augment it and add, or I would say, enable companies to do the processing much faster into a structured format. Kirtesh, you know Java. Is there any other language, for example, Hive, which is more efficient and less complex to code Hadoop queries, or I should go with Java? So Kirtesh, you can use Python. Python is pretty easy to learn and use, and you can code your Hadoop or MapReduce codes in Python also. You can use Hive, you can use Pig, which are other scripting languages. So in the project which we give you in this course, we will actually give you an option to either write your codes in Java or write them in Hive or Pig, or if you want, you can write them in Python also. Virendra, do you have any corporate concession for joining this course like you give to students? So Virendra, we have a group discount, not exactly a corporate concession. We have a group discount where we can provide you a discount of 10% on the fees mentioned if you join in a group of 3 or more people. Abhimanyu, what is asking what is Yarn? So Abhimanyu, Yarn is the new MapReduce framework or MapReduce algorithm in Hadoop 2.0. So in Hadoop 1.0 there was MapReduce. In Hadoop 2.0 the new name for MapReduce 2.0 is Yarn. Sushil is asking, are you going to provide infrastructure for practical part of the training? Yes, Sushil. So as I said, we will be providing you the link to download the Hadoop virtual machine on your own computer. And you can use that virtual machine to practice and run any kind of codes you want on your own computer. So you need not be restricted to any kind of virtual lab which will get taken away from you after this course. This virtual machine remains with you forever and it is free. You can use it anytime you want, even after the course ends, to do anything that you want. Okay. Any further questions from you? Anyone with any further questions? I'm still here for a few minutes. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So Nandini is asking, I'm a 12-year-old computer programmer and enthusiast. How do you think Hadoop will be useful to my understanding? My credentials can be seen. Okay. So Nandini, we can definitely discuss how more useful Hadoop could be for you. But I'm sure you have understood quite well as to how Hadoop is being used across companies. And I think given that we discussed that you have a great I mean, you have a website where you have a lot of data coming up, then you can definitely use that the Hadoop system to analyze the data. We can discuss much more in detail. Probably you can even discuss with the faculty as to how you can use or analyze that data. You can make a project out of it.